Welcome to Best of the NES, a countdown of the top 25 games on Nintendo's 8-bit home console. This isn't a list of my personal favourites, but a list aggregated from as many top NES games lists as I could find. Our countdown continues with number 21, Blaster Master. That box art is a dumpster fire. I've heard a lot of great things about Blaster Master, how it combines Metroid-style platforming and world exploration with Zelda-style dungeon mazes, impressive screen-filling boss fights, and some of the best graphics and music on the NES. I haven't played it before, but I'm already excited. Let's have a gander! You are Kane Gardner, pilot of the space tank Metal Attacker. I don't know who that is. Your mission? To free the planet Sophia III from the despotic Emperor Goes and the inburned Dark Star Army. No wait, that's the Japanese story. We got something a little different. You are Jason, an ordinary boy whose pet frog Fred has eaten some radioactive waste, grown massive and fallen into a hole. Jason gives chase and stumbles across the battle tank, Sophia III. That's all the game gives you anyway. The instruction manual explains that the hole has dropped you into the underground realm of the Plutonium Boss, leader of a mutant army intent on taking over the Earth. Now you have to find your frog and destroy the mutants. You start out in this grassy area. Weren't we just underground? The Sophia can jump around and shoot in 3 directions, just like a real tank. I love the bouncy animation. Doing, doing. Shoot enemies to get power-ups. P restores your health bar, and H doesn't do anything yet. You can also find secondary weapons, such as the Thunderbreak, homing missiles, and multi-warhead missiles. Select these on the pause menu and activate them by pressing down and fire. Head into the cave and you'll come across a ladder. Well, I can't drive down there. Hit the select button, and boop, Jason hops out. Without the tank, Jason takes more damage and his little pea shooter is piddly weak. He even takes damage from falls. But, on his own, he can squeeze through narrow passages, climb ladders, and swim places the tank can't go. He can also enter these small caves. Inside, the view switches to top-down, like Zelda. Jason can shoot his blaster or hurl grenades. He holds the blaster in his right hand, so his shots are off-centre. I've seen a load of people complain about this, but you adjust to it pretty quickly. Jason's blaster is very weak and has a short range. This is where the gun gauge comes in. You'll find gun energy lying around or inside blocks. As the gun gauge fills up, the blaster improves. First the range is better, shots become stronger, then you get a wavy spread of bullets, and when it's fully powered up, your blaster can even shoot through walls. But gun energy is hard to come by, and this is a problem because if you take any damage, your gun gauge will actually go down. Gun energy only respawns if you leave and enter the cave again, but all of the enemies do as well. Many enemies spawn infinitely and move randomly. You can lose tons of farming progress in a matter of seconds. It's infuriating. Worse still, enemies don't spawn off screen like you'd expect them to. They spawn from within the visible play area. So even if the way forward is completely clear, BAM! An enemy was there the whole time. When I first started playing, I tried to keep my gun powered up all the time, but it turns out you can just throw grenades. Yes, they're stronger than all but the most powerful blaster, and they're easier to aim. As my granddad always said, "Fry my boy! Grenades deal with everything!" One of the caves hides a boss room, and it's up to you to find it. You know you're there when you hear the siren. The screen goes black and a giant monster will appear. The first one is a brain with a bunch of smaller brains orbiting it. Slip inside the orbit and lob grenades, then get back out before you run out of space. Defeating the boss rewards you with an upgrade for your tank, or another item that grants you access to a new area of the world. The first upgrade boosts the tank's cannon. Now you can defeat this previously invulnerable enemy wall and head to Area 2. One of my favourite things about Blaster Master is how every area looks and feels so different from the last. While Area 1 was a flooded cave, Area 2 is a castle. All of the other areas have completely different designs as well. It's pretty impressive. Even if it doesn't make any sense with the story, the graphics are really nice and detailed with some impressive sprite work in places. Even within each area there's enough variety in the backgrounds that you always know where you are. Although I'd still recommend having some maps to hand. The music also shifts tone depending on the area exploring. It can go from adventurous to ominous. Based purely on presentation and music alone, Blaster Master really deserves to be up there with the best of the NES. I hate these robot worms. They home in on you, but they're too short to hit with the tank's cannon. You're supposed to hop out and shoot them with Jason's blaster, but that's too slow. It's easier to take a bit of damage and run for it. The boss of Area 2 is a huge bug with 2 long claws and a massive, let's call that its mouth. It can't reach you if you stay at the bottom of the screen. As long as you've got a bit of gun power left, you can take it out. Defeating it gets you another upgrade to the tank cannon. Now you can blast through those blocks you saw earlier in Area 2 to continue onwards to Area 3. Now, Area 3 is definitely a space station. It's definitely not an underground cave full of mutants anymore. Bang up job with that localization, lads! Enemy sprites popping into existence is becoming a real problem. It turns some of these tunnel climbs into trial and error. It just looks unfinished. The boss is a sequence of 16 metal cubes that move or shoot lasers, and sometimes both. It's totally random, and I got stuck here for a while, trying to find a pattern or a safe angle to attack from. Waste of time. Spam them with hand grenades. Done. Your reward is the hover ability. You can fly short distances as long as you have hover energy remaining, those H capsules we saw earlier. You can use the hover to escape Area 3. But where's Area 4? This is where the Metroid comparison comes in, because the entrance to the next area isn't always in the area you've just completed. You can travel freely between every area you have already cleared, and you can find the entrance to the next area in any of them. So take note of all of those inaccessible locations you find, because sooner or later you'll find an upgrade that'll let you through. Alas, the Metroid comparison is way overstated. In Metroid, finding a new power-up means backtracking through the game to find a way forward. But it also means exploring the rest of the map for secret rooms where you can use your new ability to stock up on more power-ups. In Blaster Master there is just one spot where your new ability can be used, and it's always to progress to the next area. You might use it again in a future area, but that's not the same. There are no secrets, power-ups or stashes of weapons to find. And the instruction manual tells you where all of the area entrances can be found anyway, so you don't even need to explore for those. Head all the way back to the room where you started in Area 1, and you can use hover to climb this series of ledges to reach Area 4. Oh, these robots are so cheap! Ah! Area 4 is a vast sewer maze. Most of it takes place in one huge room where you're travelling through a network of enemy-infested pipes. Once you know the path through here, it's not too hard. You might need to farm some flying enemies for hover energy so you can reach the boss cave. And you finally face your giant mutated frog, Fred. He will hop 3 times, then use one of 3 attacks in the same sequence: tongue, balls, fireball. Stand to the side and blast it in the mouth when it's using the tongue or the balls, and then keep moving to avoid the fireball. Repeat a few times and Fred explodes. Wait, wasn't I supposed to be saving him? The game gives up at this point, as your reward is a key, and you use it in one room earlier in Area 4 to open a gate. You will have to get out of the tank and navigate some tricky platforms as Jason in order to open the second gate, and this is a pretty clever lead-in to Area 5. You see, Area 5 is all underwater. The tank will sink all the way to the bottom and get stuck. The only way out is to abandon the tank and swim through the narrow watery tunnels as Jason. It would be nice if it was easier to avoid these robot fish. Robocod! No wait, that's been done. Halibot! The boss cave is a narrow winding corridor filled with eyeballs that dash at you when you move in front of them. Even if the way forward looks clear, enemies will spawn in and shoot at you before you can react. It's almost impossible to avoid taking any hits. The boss is a giant crab that moves from side to side. The bubbles it spits can stop your shots, and the more you hit it, the more bubbles it will spit. Eventually, it becomes impossible to hit the weak spot. I got stuck here for ages because there is only one way to beat it. You must have maximum gun power-ups. Just one problem: there's no gun energy in the boss cave. And all of these other caves contain enemies with twitchy random attacks. You're more likely to leave with less gun energy than you entered with. So before you drop down into the watery pit in your tank, you need to farm gun energy in this room until it's maxed out. Then you need to reach the boss room without taking a single hit. That means the corridor of pop-in enemies, no hits. One hit and you can't do it. Only a fully powered gun can break through the wall of crab bubbles. The only way back to the cave with all of the gun energy is to lose all of your lives and use a continue. Well, that's okay, you have infinite continues, right? Nope! You have 4 continues with 3 lives each. There is no way to earn more lives or continues. There are no passwords or continue codes. Once they're gone, it's back to the beginning of the game. I've heard this game called hardcore, but I honestly think it's just badly thought out. There are huge stretches of the game where you can make tons of progress, then a handful of evil sticking points. So I finally made it to the crab with a fully powered gun, and defeating it grants me the dive ability. Swim back to the tank and now it moves through the water with ease, allowing you to escape to Area 6. And then you never use the dive ability again. Area 6 is a huge icy platforming challenge. I actually found this pretty easy. You slip around, but the tank's controls are so good that you always feel in control. If you slip off, you have some backtracking to do, but I didn't really have any problems. The boss cave is trickier, with slippery ice platforms sending you careening into spikes. It's annoying, but again I made it through without too much trouble. And there's a handy room filled with rocks where you can refill your power and gun energy. Nice! The boss is a palette swapped version of the plant mouth boss from Area 2. As before, you have to shoot it in the mouth while dodging its arms and projectiles, which now include rocks. The arms are longer, so there's no safe spot this time. Oh yeah, and it's now freaking impossible! Even if you get here with a fully powered blaster, the arms can block everything. You have to get really good at dodging all of the projectiles it throws at you, and really lucky because it's all random. One hit and your powered down gun will struggle to hit the mouth at all. And it has way too much health. It's a miserable experience. I looked up strategies to beat it, but they all said the same thing. That's just how hard it is. However, I did find an exploit. As soon as the battle starts, pump bombs into its mouth. When it starts flashing, pause the game. The bombs will keep damaging it over and over while the game is paused. After 15 seconds, unpause the game and the boss explodes. My reward for cheating is the ability to drive up walls. This is cool, but a bit fiddly. Your directional controls don't change, so if you're driving up a wall, you still hold left or right to go up and down. Timing your jumps near edges now works totally differently. It doesn't break the controls, but it changes them so much that it takes some time to adjust. Back in Area 2 was a wall too tall to hover up. Now you can drive up the walls to access Area 7. This is a volcanic stage with pools of lava and rooms filled with rocks that you can blast a path through. Unlike the other areas, which have been one interconnected space, this area consists of smaller maps connected by long tunnels. There are a few dead ends, but I found exploring around for the right path a nice change of pace. The boss cave is generous with weapons energy, making it easy to blast through the robots and get to the boss fully powered. This time, it's Red Fred, a fire-breathing palette swap of Fred the Frog. I thought the attacks were random at first, but there was a pattern. It takes forever to beat it because the bosses at this stage have far too much health, but it felt challenging and possible. Thumbs up for Area 7, Blaster Master. Beating Red Fred nets you the Wall 2 upgrade. Now you can drive up walls and ceilings. Remember the spiky wall you couldn't get past in Area 3? Well, now you can drive up the walls to Area 8, the final zone. I know final levels are supposed to be hard and all, but this one is just cruel. The place is filled with spike traps that take off huge amounts of health. There are huge rooms where you have a choice of taking the long way round through the enemies or taking a shortcut through some spikes. And did I mention the robo-worms are back? Yay! In this room you have to perform a series of perfect jumps to avoid horribly placed spike traps while robo-worms drop down on you from above. Whether you take your time or brute force your way through, you take a ton of damage. Remember, if you run out of continues here, it's back to the beginning with you. Hours of progress. When you finally arrive at the boss cave, you'll be pleased to see it's filled with blocks. There are power-ups galore to be found. When you're ready, head through the top door to face the final boss. Hey, it's that gross thing from the box art! Is this the plutonium boss? It looks like a xenomorph stuck in a cat flap. It spits rocks that bounce around the screen and block your shots. The screen fills up fast, so I stood under its chin and filled its mouth with grenades. Seemed to do the job. The plutonium boss explodes, revealing another boss. Is this the true plutonium boss? The plutonium CEO? It marches towards you, flailing a fire whip. This would be pretty tough, except for one thing. He can't hit you if you stand here. Hooray! With the plutonium boss defeated, the mountain crumbles. We were in a mountain? Jason and Fred sit atop the sofa and watch. Wait, Fred's still alive? And we're outside apparently. I don't know what's going on. Wait a second, the badge says MA01. That stands for Metal Attacker. That's the tank's Japanese name. God, they really didn't give two hoots, did they? Would I put Blaster Master in my own top 25? Ugh, no. I can see why people loved this game when it came out. Sunsoft created an ambitious adventure game with a variety of playstyles. The graphics are impressive with great animation, especially on the tank. There's some clever effects like that depth effect in the sewer level. The music is fantastic and it really sticks in your head. And the visual spectacle of those bosses back then would have been mind-blowing. You can't fault it for its presentation. It really is incredible. Unfortunately, the gameplay is held together with nothing more than string and hope. It really needed someone to go in and file off all the rough edges. Blaster Master has been designed as a non-linear exploration game, but so many of its systems actively discourage exploration. The gun energy, the limited number of continues, and the fact that there's nothing actually to find. The gun energy system creates cruel difficulty spikes that seem worse in the middle of the game than towards the end. It's too easy to get locked in a boss area without the ability to actually beat it. A boss that requires full gun energy but providing no way to collect gun energy beforehand, that's not challenging. It's just wrong. Limited continues can work for a game that would take 30 minutes to beat if you knew what was coming, but limited continues for a long adventure where you can lose many hours of progress, that's just a bad idea. And the enemies popping into existence felt like a programming bug that they just couldn't iron out. But rather than design around these limitations, they just left the game feeling broken and borderline unplayable at times. Blaster Master is a beautiful failure. It looks great, it sounds great, but it's fundamentally broken inside. #CanRelate. Thank you for watching Best of the NES. Now this is just my opinion. I know a lot of people love Blaster Master and won't agree with me. Did you ever beat it legitimately and do you still love it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being so patient while I got this one together. I want to give a warm welcome to all of the new subscribers who joined over the past year. And a very special thanks goes to Late Night Reviews, who talked me round to finishing this review. He also reviews NES games, so if that's your thing, and I'm assuming it is, go check out his stuff. Best of the NES is on Patreon. If you support this show, you get access to videos before they go up on YouTube. Pledge $5 or more per month and you get your name on the Wall of Love. Oh, you guys, that new haircut looks great on you! Next time on Best of the NES, Metal Gear. See you next time!